Good afternoon and good morning to our visitors further west. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. We know the holidays are busy and we are so glad you are here. I am Dr. Christine Olson, co-founder and executive chair of the Food Allergy Science Initiative Board. Imagine a world without food allergies. This is the vision I brought to life when I founded FASI in 2016. Food allergies are life-threatening. FASI believes there is a cure. Our world-renowned scientific experts from highly respected institutions have created a new field of research, transforming how we diagnose, treat, and prevent food allergies. But this is personal. My food allergy journey began the day my 8-month-old son had an anaphylactic reaction to sesame. We were told the only options to help him deal with his allergies were avoidance and epinephrine injections. I realized the medical and science community lacked an understanding of food allergies and what caused them. We were nowhere near a cure. I wasn't satisfied with this. As a doctor and a mother of an allergic child, I assembled other parents dealing with the challenges, fears, and risk of food allergies. We brought together a team of scientists to understand why food allergies existed, why were they skyrocketing in numbers, and what we can do to find a cure. This includes many of you with your own stories and determinations to cure food allergies. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Here at FASI, we are now at an inflection point, building on many of our scientific achievements of the last 5 years and using that knowledge to chart our path to its translational research. Which brings me to a very exciting moment to introduce you to Dr. Carlos Vasquez. Carlos is FASI's Senior Vice President of Research, having joined the team a few months ago at a critical moment for FASI. Dr. Vasquez received a PhD from MIT in biological chemistry and was subsequently a postdoctoral fellow in biological engineering, also at MIT. Carlos worked in the biotech industry for over 16 years, where he led the discovery and development of several therapeutics in the treatment of autoimmunity inflammatory diseases that are now in clinic. That is not an easy feat. His experience identifying therapeutic business opportunities and developing immunotherapeutic from discovery to the clinical stage is why he was the perfect person to take FASI to the next phase. And we are so excited to have him here today. And I'm excited to introduce you to him. So welcome, Carlos. And we would love to hear, just to start off the conversation today, is tell us why you decided to leave biotech and join us here at FASI.
Thank you, Chris. It is really an honor to have the opportunity to be here today and talking with you and our audience. As Chris mentioned, a little bit about my background. I was fortunate. I'm a scientist by training. Did my PhD in biological chemistry at MIT and subsequent postdoctoral studies also at MIT in biological engineering. After finishing my education, I spent over the last 16 years specifically trying to understand how to put the brakes to the immune system, specifically addressing autoimmune diseases, which are diseases in which your body, your immune system mistakenly start attacking your tissues and your organs. And I was fortunate to work with great people and lead teams in the discovery, so conception of some ideas of how to intervene and put the brakes to the immune system, and how to then transform those into therapeutics that we're actually now have progressed into the clinic and hopefully will help millions of people around the world. So I've been fortunate with that. I also had the opportunity to work in another area that it's highly connected to the challenges that we see in food allergies, which is looking at understanding diseases where our barriers are compromised, our skin barrier and our eyes, our corneas are compromised. And so I was fortunate again to work with great people to come up with alternatives to try to solve those problems through therapeutic interventions. So as I was more recently, my passion has really been to generate transformative therapeutics that would actually impact and alter the lives of people, especially disease-modifying treatments, things that can actually completely alter the way people address and really feel and experience these diseases. And as I was actually my quest to find the best solutions for this, I actually talked to a lot of people in the Boston area and in the industry. And I must accept, I was actually underwhelmed by the answer. So being very honest and candid with you. So it wasn't actually when I started talking to you, Chris, and talking to Ruslan and the great scientists at FASI, where I got really excited. I said, wow, this is exactly what we've been missing. I think the alternatives out there are not very deep and have not really considered all the aspects of the picture of how to really better control that immune system and be able to put the brakes to it in an effective manner. So I was very excited, very pleased when I met the team at FASI and really learn about the science. So very excited to be here. There were actually probably to be honest, why I joined FASI, there were three main reasons why I joined FASI. So the first one I started mentioning was first the science, the fact that FASI was taking an approach that it was a more comprehensive approach, looking at the immune system and the nervous system, the microbiome, gastroenterology all together. Because at the end of the day, our human body is not one thing versus the other, it's all together at the same time. The second was really the mission. I had the opportunity to impact the lives of probably thousands of people with the therapies that I've been working on for a while. But food allergies, it's really now a pandemic. When I was growing up, I rarely found someone that had food allergies. Now it's actually rare not to know someone with food allergies. So unfortunately, that's the case. 32 million people just in the US, and it's growing. So the mission to be able to tackle this big problem was very, very important. There's a need, a critical unmet need. And the last one was really the people. I think to solve big problems, you need to have the passion, but also the commitment. And when I met you, Chris, and I met Ruslan and others, it was not only about the passion, but the real commitment to do. You're really a good example of doing whatever it takes to solve the problem. So I was very compelled by that, and I just really wanted to be part of this mission and this great initiative.
Well,
I'll
thank
stop
you,
there.
Carlos. Yeah, no, thank you. And I would say that one thing that when I met you as well, that I really resonated with me is that you are also interested in finding the true cure, right? We don't want a Band-Aid. We really need to understand that mechanism biology so we can really find solutions for our patients at work. And when you said that to me, I knew you were the right person for FASI. So we're very excited to have you. But why don't you tell us what are you most excited about what FASI has done so far, and how you think this is laying the foundation for your plans within FASI and what is next?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I actually forgot to mention also somehow recently, as an adult, I have developed a food allergy, which I didn't know, but that's probably a discussion for a different day. So
it's a big one. It's one that I don't think I could survive without. So
I know, but we'll find
coffee, everybody. So
we'll find the answer to that one. So no, Chris, there's many different things that I've seen so far in my 3 months at FASI that I've been very excited about from everything that we're doing at FASI. Just to name a few, so that I don't bore our audience with all the exciting, because I get very excited about science. Just really the progress that the investigators at FASI has made by understanding the interconnectivity and how the immune and the nervous system work as a single functional unit when it's really exposed to these allergens. It is fascinating. When you go outside and you look back probably 10 years ago, no one was talking about this. And now we're actually seeing more on publications, understanding of how this is happening. I just saw one publication that got me really excited from one of our investigators, where you can actually see how the nerves are actually the nerve cells are actually sending signals to cells that are embedded in our gut lining to tell them you need to secrete more mucus to protect the gut lining, and which everyone believes is an important aspect of how to protect your gut, so that when you're exposed to allergens, you don't develop these reactions.
which probably happens in the lungs as well, right? With asthma, similar allergic type defenses.
Exactly, and applies to many other diseases if we think about it. So to me, that's been very exciting, and the fact that what we're seeing is not only one direction, it's also bi-direction. So we see the immune cells actually communicating with the nerve cells and actually finding new receptors in nerve cells that allows you to say, wow, this communication that we always thought it was about an immune system, it's not only about that. And so it really confirms the idea that to solve this challenge, you need to look at it in a very different way. Many other things, I think the fact that we're seeing even scratching and itching being a potential route for generating that activation of nerve cells and immune cells that develop this long-term memory that we don't think about because we don't know that we're even exposed to. And build this memory that many years down the road can allow someone to actually react to an allergen when they see it again.
Yeah, and that probably happened with my son, actually, who had his first anaphylactic reaction to sesame the first time he's exposed. He had very mild eczema, and never crossed my mind that he could get sensitized and become allergic to a food through his skin.
Exactly. You
Which
probably never realized that he was exposed, right?
Right, and I don't think we knew this when, 8 years ago or 9 years ago when he developed those allergies. But yeah, that is some fascinating research and really transforms why prevention and early introduction probably work, right? To develop that tolerance first in the gut.
Yes, and one of our investigators, FASI investigator, Carrie Sokol, is doing an amazing work on understanding that. So we're really, really excited about her work. So there are many things, the fact that recently, Ramnik Xavier, one of our investigators, has been really mapping all the cells of the gut. When you look at how people are solving problems in the industry, the level of resolution that now you can create by being able to map all the cells that are involved in the gut in this reaction, I think is just going to open the doors to many things that we just don't even know about. So to me, all those things are very exciting. But to be honest, the most exciting thing that I've seen so far is actually not specifically the science, but really stepping back and thinking, we take it for granted, but the fact that FASI has been able to bring together all these great minds, probably the best minds in the world from different fields, immunology, neuroscience, microbiology, gastroenterology, all together to sit at the table. And not only to sit at the table, but to collaborate in a very open manner and exchange ideas to solve a big issue like the one we're really looking to solve. You need the big minds and a very different perspective from everyone sitting at the table and working together to solve it. I think is the only way. So I've been very excited about that. I can go on a list for 3 hours, but I'll stop there.
Yeah, I would have to say in Dr. Ruslan Mezitov being our scientific thought leader, and really forming those collaborations well has been extraordinary. And I'm not sure there's another nonprofit in the world that functions this way, actually. But I think that's how we get to accelerate our research so quickly, and in that environment.
I was just going to say, I think meeting Ruslan for the first time was very transformative to me. I think that definitely the word lead by example it's really applies here, where he's just a highly visionary person. I mean, as our scientific founder, he really established set the stage for how to collaborate, how to communicate about science, how to think about science in a very holistic and comprehensive way. So it's been an honor just to learn from people like him.
Yeah, no, I've learned a lot, and I've never met anyone else like him yet, actually. So why don't you tell us, your vision for FASI over the next 5 years?
Absolutely. So happy to do that. I will talk a little bit about it, and I'll have a few slides just really more to help our discussion. But
I'm a scientist. I love slides.
Yeah, I know there's some science, but I know to be respectful or diverse audience, I won't go into the details of the science, but happy to answer questions afterwards. So, I think I look at this point in time, and the more I learn about the science that FASI and many people in the area are now doing, I feel like we are at that stage where oncology was many years ago when chemotherapy was the only option or was the best option. where people say, well, if we actually hit those cells, the bad cells, the tumors, and we kill them, that's the solution. But, if we kill some other cells that are good along the way, it's okay. And until immunotherapy started coming and understanding that we can harness the immune system to get much better approaches to intervene, it really is transforming the way that we treat immunotherapy. A better example that it's probably closer to what we're doing, very close to what we're doing, is vaccines. The fact that in the 1930s, people started really using adjuvants, figure out first that in order to get effective vaccines, you need two signals. You need the antigen, right? That particular molecule that drives the immune system, but you need another signal to really stimulate the immune system. And in the 1930s, then everyone started actually using adjuvants to create more effective vaccines. In fact, we're seeing something similar I think in allergies, where we only think about the allergen and it's peanut or it's sesame, but we don't think about what is the other signal that it's needed to really push this to the next level. And I'm very excited about what some of our scientists are doing to really try to understand what is that other signal that really pushes the immune system over the top. So very excited about that. So what I'm trying to say, I think we're in a transformative and a very big inflection point right now, where this information driving in is going to impact the way we think about interventions, therapeutic interventions, and strategies for the future. So I'm actually just gonna share my screen here real quick. Sorry, you probably cannot see my screen right now. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
That's perfect.
So based on that specific transition point that we are right now, I'm very excited about the future of FASI. There's a big need, right? When we look at what's out there, the reality is that there's only one drug approved intended to be a disease-modifying therapy for food allergy, that is Palforzia, which is a peanut powder that is used for oral immunotherapy to induce tolerance, if you will, of patients. It's great. I'm very happy and I'm very excited that there's options. And as in any case in drug development, right, you start where you can. So I think it's been a great progress in helping a lot of people, but I believe that we can do much better than this. The fact that only 5% of the patients really use this, and there's some challenges with this therapy. I really believe that we need to do better for our patients.
Yeah, I mean, it is for a lot of people with a peanut allergy right now, improve their daily quality of life. So there is some benefit there for sure. But yes, we want to push the envelope further.
Yes, no, and I recognize it's actually great. I just don't think we need to stop there. We cannot stop there. We need to provide better for patients. So I think that that's the need. I think the actions for FASI for the next 2 years, we can summarize it as two. One of them is we're making great progress on understanding this disease in a much better way than ever before. So we need to continue to understand the why and the how. Our bodies and then the body can actually develop tolerance to these allergens. Many people are exposed to the same allergen, but they don't actually suffer these reactions. How is that happening? Some people overcome food allergies. How does that happen? We need to continue to understand that, because that would actually open the doors to many, many things that we can do for patients in the future. And the next point that we need to do in the next few years, it's really to create the next generation of therapeutics for better intervention. So I think those are really the main focus for the next few years. Specifically, how do we generate therapeutic interventions that can enable a sustained response to tolerance or tolerize our system for a long time, so that when you get exposed to the allergen years down the road, you don't have to fear a reaction. You don't have to pay attention to all the details in this slide, but this, to me, I just love it because it summarizes the complexity of everything that the FAST investigators are breaking down and understanding better. So now that we are understanding this better, we believe.
And Carlos, why don't you just explain the cell gut lining there a little bit so people know exactly what this is.
Yes. I'm sorry, go
And
ahead.
I just want to add in, we're at a really good point within FASI where we've developed a lot of this basic science that never existed before. And it is not until now, right? We started in 2016, it's now 2022, where we had to develop technologies, had to make all these initial discoveries where we can actually bring someone like Dr. Vasquez who can come in and help us define and outline these targets as well. So
Exactly, Chris. No, I think the fact that the FAST investigator have been able to make great progress in understanding. So what you're seeing here, it's really, this is a depiction of the gut lining and cells within the gut lining and how the diet and even the microbiome interacts with this gut lining, and how this communicate with the nerves in the enteric nervous system and also up all the way up to the spinal cord, and how does activate the immune system. All the different parts of that equation are now under evaluation at FASI. We've actually the investigators have made great progress on this. So I think this to me is extremely exciting because it opens the door of how to create therapies for prevention and intervention. And so with that in mind and being cognizant in time, because I know we want to open the time for questions and discussion, really, as I said, in addition to understanding, continue to break down this big complex challenge, the other part that we're looking at in FASI is specifically, it's a long road to develop therapies. We're not going to be able to do this alone. We're actually collaborating. We're going to collaborate with a lot of people. We've done a lot of work in the foundational science, made great progress. And now we're specifically talking about and planning in the next, planning specifically, how do we accelerate novel and transformative therapies that can create that sustained response and tolerance so that when you experience those allergens in the future, you don't really need to be afraid of. Specifically, one of the main concepts that we've been discussing recently is the creation of a drug accelerator that would allow us to really take those concepts, make them into therapies, to hopefully transform the lives of people. So we're very excited about this part of the plan. We should have more details for our audience in the upcoming months. So I just really encourage everyone to stay tuned for the details of those plans in the upcoming months. But I think there's a lot of excitement, a lot of things that I'm excited about, especially this area where we can start intervening with therapies and helping patients. But I'll stop there. I don't know, Chris, if you have more questions, or happy to answer any questions and go into more details.
That's great, and people can put their questions in the Q&A. I forgot to say that in the beginning, but and you can stop sharing, Carlos. But this is exciting, and really exciting to hear, because this is kind of what we've all been waiting for. I know I've been waiting for it, and I just want to go back that we had to map out all the cells of the gut, we had to map out all the nerves, we had to find the cells involved in sensing what's happening in the brain, and our amazing FASI scientists have been able to get this done in really a warp speed time, and so now Carlos is here to build that next part of FASI, where we can actually develop the therapeutics that we can give to our children. We do really believe, like everyone's always asking me, you really want to be cure? I do, because I think if you can turn on, just like Carlos was saying earlier, turn on and off, right? People outgrow it or develop an allergy. I think there's a way to kind of switch it back again. And so there's one. Someone want details of the publications in the Q&A. And so that's all our publications are listed on our website. And so you can go to our website, and there's a list of every publication that FASI funded research has been published. And then someone want to know if we're doing any research in the alpha-gal syndrome carbohydrate, which is an interesting question. And then we're going to have to go and we got a couple minutes. Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Alpha-gal, it's something I had the opportunity to work at Alpha-gal related science, probably about 10 years ago, and something that I'm very familiar with. Yes, it is an exciting area. We've actually started to discuss with many people that are really especially more affected by the alpha-gal. There's specifically an area in the United States that where alpha-gal syndrome is actually more observed. And so we're actually talking to people in that area to better understand how the tick bites, which are associated, which are kind of the initiation point and sensitization of the alpha-gal syndrome, so that when people are exposed to alpha-gal through their meat intake later on, get exacerbated. So we are in discussions on that as well. So very, very good question. Happy to go into more details if you like.
Yeah, you could also email us, and there is an allergist who's doing a lot of work on this down in the North Carolina area, Scott Cummings. And so the other thing is, people want to know, do you think there will be, like, is it better to target the immune system, or is it better to target the nervous system for treatment? And what's the difference, and how can that help?
Yes, great question. There are many people that are targeting the immune system, and I think this is not going to be one or the other, right? There's a progression of how we're going to have to build this. What I'm most excited about is that what we're seeing is that the immune system parts of the immune system can be bypassed directly and go into the nervous system, and the nervous system can start firing up. And best examples by some of our investigators, Vijay Kukrod and Isaac Shu at Harvard, they're finding a lot of new information in this area. So we are now in discussions to see if the best way is to intervene directly on the nerve cells or the immune cells, or if there's a way that you could do, as Vijay calls it, attack the amplifiers that are in the middle of both, of the immune system or the nervous system. So don't have a very specific answer for you exactly which is the target, but we are actively involved in those discussions at the moment.
Yeah, and the nice thing, it might, knowing that the nervous system involved, there could potentially be targets that are already on market that we can actually repurpose, which is actually really nice because you have a lot of the safety data already. And so the speed at which you can go can be much faster as well. Someone asked why we're not listed on Charity Navigator. We haven't been an independent nonprofit long enough, so we will be as soon as they evaluate us. What is the timeline for therapeutics, and do you anticipate in finding a cure in our lifetime?
I
don't know how old you are, but my son's 10, and I plan to find something before he goes to college. So I'm going to say yes to that. But and timelines are always really hard to predict, but you're welcome to comment on that, Carlos, as well, if you.
No, I concur with you. I think we are in a good path right now, and definitely in our lifetime we'll have a cure. I believe that there's a cure based on all the innovation that it's happening.
Yeah, and someone asked about diagnostics. Is it always going to be oral food challenge? And I don't think so. I think there's a lot of interesting companies working on it out there that will find something, and some of our research might help that. Although it's not one of our major focuses on the diagnostic aspect of it. All right. Well, great. Thank you so much, Carlos, for joining us. Thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate you being part of our mission and appreciate all your support that you give to FASI. And we will have another webinar in January, and enjoy the holidays.